You ever sit through a presentation and poof, it's gone the second it ends? But then there's that other one, the one that sticks with you for days, maybe even weeks. The difference isn't magic, it's structure. So today, we're going to pull back the curtain and unlock the playbook that master communicators use to build messages that don't just get heard, they actually get remembered.
I mean, we've all felt this, right? You're listening to someone and you are just hanging on every single word. Each idea flows so perfectly into the next, and by the end, you're left with this feeling of just absolute clarity. And then there's the other kind, a total jumbled mess of thoughts that leaves you more confused than when you started. So what is it? What really separates the two?
Well, here's the secret. It's not just about the content, it's the architecture. Truly great communicators, they build their arguments for the listener's mind, not for their own. And the blueprint for this, believe it or not, comes from a surprisingly timeless source that has been captivating audiences for centuries, the sermon.
So here's how we're going to break it all down. First, we'll uncover that secret blueprint. It's a crucial shift from your logic to the audience's journey. Then we'll explore 3 different ways you can build your argument, master 5 golden rules of structure, and learn how to absolutely nail your core message. And finally, we'll tie it all together and see why this is a total game changer for you.
All right, let's start with that foundational blueprint. And this right here, this is probably the biggest mindset shift you need to make. The way you discovered your ideas is almost never the best way to explain them to someone else.
So just look at the 2 sides here. On the left, you've got your research, the raw data, the messy, winding path of discovery. But on the right, that's the audience's journey, a smooth, clear, well-lit path. You see, great speakers don't just dump their research notes on you. No way. They act as architects, and they build a solid bridge from their knowledge to your understanding.
Okay, so how do you actually build that bridge? Well, there are 3 fundamental architectural styles you can use. Let's take a look at how they work.
Think of these as 3 different levels of creative freedom. With the topical style, you might borrow a theme, say leadership, but you build your very own structure around it. With the textual style, you take the main points from the source, but you bring in your own evidence and stories to back them up. And with the expository style, you're a purist. Everything, from the topic down to the tiniest detail, comes straight from the source. You're basically immersing your audience completely.
Now, no matter which style you choose, your message needs a rock-solid foundation. And that brings us to the 5 golden rules of structure. These are, you could say, the non-negotiables for any powerful message.
Rule number 1, unity. This is all about ruthless focus. Every single element, every story, every statistic, every joke, it has to serve one central idea. If it's a tangent, it doesn't matter how brilliant it is, you've got to cut it. Your clarity depends on it.
Second, brevity. Ask yourself this, could your main points pass the 3 a.m. test? Like if you woke someone up in the middle of the night, could they repeat your main points back to you? You've got to keep your points short and sharp. They become these little mental hooks for all the other details to hang on.
Now this is where the music of your message comes in. Harmony or parallelism is all about structuring your main points with similar wording. Like, we must face our challenges, we must embrace our opportunities, we must build our future. See that? That repetition, it creates a rhythm that signals to the listener's brain, hey, pay attention, another key idea is coming up.
An argument has to move. It has to go somewhere. That's progression. Each point has to build on the one before it, leading your audience toward a final, powerful conclusion. You want to avoid that merry-go-round of just restating the same idea in different ways. You got to take your audience on a journey.
And finally, symmetry. Look, your audience's attention needs balance. A 20-minute first point followed by a 2-minute second point, it just feels weird, right? It feels jarring. So try to give each major section roughly the same amount of time. It shows respect, and it makes your whole message feel satisfying and complete. So we have the rules of structure, but what exactly are we structuring? Well, it all comes back to the single most critical element of your entire message, your one core idea.
This quote from Henry Jowett is the ultimate test. Honestly, the hardest work isn't gathering all the information. It's distilling all of it down into one single crystal clear sentence. If you can't do that, you're not ready. It's as simple as that.
And this core sentence, it has a name, the proposition. Think of it like a thesis statement, but supercharged. It is the North Star for your entire message. It gives it direction, it gives it unity, and it gives it a clear path forward for everyone to follow.
So here's how you actually build your message around it. It's a really simple but incredibly powerful 3-step process. First, just state your proposition. For example, effective teams require psychological safety.
Second, you ask the natural question your audience is already thinking, which is obviously going to be why or how. And finally, and this is the magic part, you make your main points the direct answers to that question. This simple trick turns a one-way speech into a dynamic conversation.
Okay, so why have we spent all this time dissecting the structure of arguments? Because the stakes are incredibly high every single time you open your mouth to communicate something important.
Let's just be blunt for a second. A disorganized message says one of two things about you. Either you can't organize your own thoughts, or you just don't respect your audience enough to even try. Either way, your credibility is shot. But a clear, structured message? That signals something totally different. It signals credibility, and just as important, it signals compassion for your listeners' time and attention.
The payoff for all this discipline is huge. This isn't just about sounding smart, it's about being effective. Structure builds your credibility, it forces you to clarify your own thinking, it shows deep respect for your audience, and ultimately it makes your message land with a real, lasting impact.
Look, this isn't just theory. It's a toolkit. So I'll leave you with this one question. What is the one crucial message you need to deliver next? Maybe it's in a meeting, maybe a presentation, or maybe just an important conversation. And how will you use this playbook to make sure that this time it truly lands?